Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of our interview series in commemoration of the 16 days of activism. My name is Wendy H. Lewis. I am the Chair and District Manager for Caribbean Women Honors and Empowerment, the Trinidad and Tobago chapter. This evening, we have an amazing interview schedule for you, but before I do that, allow me to introduce our host for this evening's proceedings, Mrs. Marsha Bailey Owen. Mrs. Marsha Bailey Owen is a gifted individual who has a passion for service. Mrs. Bailey Owen is the holder of a bachelor's in social work with minors in psychology and social policy. At the postgraduate level, Mrs. Bailey Owen holds a master's degree in social work with specialization in administration and management. Her career began in the public sector in the area of family intervention, moving on to child protection. As a social work professional, Mrs. Bailey Owen has managed social service agencies and social workers in the public sector. Her social work experiences range from clinical interventions to social work management, policy formulation, and human resources management. Mrs. Bailey Owen is a founding member of Caribbean Women Honors and Empowerment, fondly called CWHE, and has served as Vice Chair and Social Services Director for the last 5 years. Mrs. Bailey Owen, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening,
Wonderful. And we are about to introduce an amazing, amazing individual. I'm so excited about this evening. It's unbelievable. Yes. The same way I was excited yesterday. I think I'm going to have 16 days of excitement. Mrs. Hazel Manning has over 40 years of experience in program planning and management, working as a senior administrator and representative in local, regional, and international arenas. Mrs. Manning was appointed senator for the government of Trinidad and Tobago in 2001 and subsequently served as Minister of Education for 5 years, 2002 to 2007, and Minister of Local Government for 3 years, 2007 to 2010. As the wife of the former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the late Honorable Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning, Mrs. Manning was founder of the Self-Esteem Foundation, which raised awareness concerning issues associated with self-worth among the country's youth. Mrs. Manning has a bachelor's in social sciences, postgraduate diploma in administration from the University of the West Indies, and a certificate in business administration from the University of Reading in the United Kingdom. Currently, Mrs. Manning is pursuing a certificate in transformational leadership to achieve the SDGs in developing states at the UWI Open School. Mrs. Manning has edited and republished the book Saga of the Company, which was written by her father, Alfred Huggins, in 1975. Mrs. Manning is a certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell Leadership Team, and participated in the Transformation Costa Rica, La Transformación Está en Mí program, where she joined over 250 GMT coaches to facilitate training 17,000 citizens of Costa Rica in a values education roundtable exercise designed to bring about improvement in the lives of the citizens of Costa Rica and sustainable growth and development. Mrs. Manning is also a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Winners Toastmasters, where she has received several accolades. Mrs. Manning was also CWHE's first honoree and remains an honorary member. We bring to the forum Mrs. Hazel Manning. Mrs. Manning?
Thank you very, very much. It's my pleasure to be here this evening.
Wonderful. And this is where I take my subtle departure and leave you in the hands of Mrs. Bailey Owen.
Thank you so much, Wendy. And so, Mrs. Manning, oh gosh, it is indeed an honor. And so I guess we can begin.
Yes.
So as persons are aware, we would have started yesterday with this 16 days of activism. And we also commemorated the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Young Girls. But one of the things that I have noticed as a social worker is that there seems to be an increase in the number of young women and girls who seem to have self-esteem issues. And so what guidelines would you suggest, Mrs. Manning, to be able to increase self-esteem or boost morale amongst our women? Because I think that is one of the issues that contributes to them being in these violent situations.
Thank you very much, Marsha. I want to agree with your statement that there seems to have been an increase, and it has been put down to COVID-19. Because of COVID-19, it has impacted on the self-esteem of not only young girls and young women, but worldwide, almost everyone. There's bereavement almost every day. You can read how many people died, even in Trinidad. There's isolation as we get locked down and can't go where we used to go before. There's loss of income or reduced income. There's fear. And that fear of change, a change that is so fundamental and so rapid, so different, is really scary. And therefore, because of that, we have seen something happening. And for me to be able to explain what it is, I want to just do the definition, give you the definition for self-esteem.
Thank you.
Self-esteem, according to the Psychology Today research, it states that confidence is one's value as a human being is a precious psychological resource. To have confidence really makes a difference in someone's life. Because when you have confidence, you have a high positive factor in life. You are then able to achieve things, you have good relationships, you are satisfied with life.
Yes.
If you don't, if you possess little self-regard, this can lead people to become depressed or fall short of their potential, or to tolerate abusive relationships. Correct. And I think because of what has been happening with COVID, that you're seeing that change, you're seeing that difference. Too much, and the research, the concept by Psychology Today went on to say, not only do you have low self-esteem, there's also that other concept of entitlement. That's inflated self-esteem, too much self-love, because we're really in a situation of fear, scared, don't know what to do. And therefore, too much self-love, on the other hand, results in an off-putting sense of entitlement. And so there are three aspects that we could look at. Inflated self-esteem, where people think they're better than others.
Correct.
High self-esteem, where that's a good one, where you accept yourself as you are, you value yourself. And low self-esteem, where people do not accept and value themselves as they should. And therefore, the guideline, having that comprehensive definition of self-esteem, the guideline now to increase and boost self-esteem really is to look at that low self-esteem and to look at that high self-esteem and to bring it in line. And to be able to find a balance. To be able to do that, there has to be awareness. You have to know that something is wrong. Some people they're not even aware that something is amiss. So you have to be aware that there's something that's happening that's not right. Self-esteem serves to motivate. And you have to understand why you're like in a depression, why you're not motivated to move on. And in doing that, you begin to find out more about yourself. And I always advocate to do that personal self-development. Who am I? What am I? I call it W to the fifth power and H. Who, what, where, when, why? What is my passion? Who am I? Why am I doing what I'm doing? How am I doing it? And if you could understand that, you then come to terms with how to lift yourself. If you're low, lift yourself out of the morass you find yourself. Or if you're high, if you're inflated, to bring yourself to that high level of confidence and feeling good about yourself to be able to move on.
Excellent guidelines, excellent guidelines. And I appreciate the fact that you dealt with not only the low, which is one challenge, but the inflation, because sometimes in relationships, when it's inflated, you seem to put down the other person, you speak down to them, you're derogatory in your comments. So excellent advice.
And we saw a lot of that in our cyber life during the COVID, a lot of that. And that's all part of the fear, facing that fear. My goodness, how do I get over what's happening here? My business is collapsing, or the world around me is collapsing. And then you move into a mode of survival already, and you use what that means. And sometimes what is at hand is not what it is you should use.
Correct. And so moving just based on that, One of the things persons talk about is we always seem to focus on victims. But what are your thoughts and your recommendations as it relates to the self-esteem of, let's say, the perpetrator? Because we don't normally talk about the perpetrators, but I always advocate that they too have their hurts, they too have their issues. So what are your thoughts and recommendations as it relates to perpetrators?
Marsha, I totally agree with you. I think we're agreeing to everything. That's what we say. Totally agree with you. The perpetrator, and when you profile the perpetrator, again, the psychology, today, literature and research, speak to the person with a dominant behavior. It is a profile. It is a personality who is direct, aggressive, assertive, dominant. And the profile of, you talk about the alpha male, that kind of profiling of where people have the power over others. And it is really a power struggle. It is usually a position of lose or win with this personality profile. And in this battle with the perpetrator, there are a number of things that you have to look for. If there's violence, the perpetrator continues to do that, I advise anybody to get out of the relationship.
Correct.
That's not an issue of that, to me, that's assault. That's a crime. That's assault and battery. That's a criminal activity to be reported and to be punished. And you must reach out for help. You must leave that relationship. If, however, the perpetrator is what I call a bully, not going to be hitting and the words, the horrible attitude, behavior, what you call it, constantly nagging, constantly bullying.
Correct. Belittling.
Yes, I would like to recommend that the person who is being attacked should understand that it has nothing to do with them. Right. I remembered once saying to someone, you mustn't take it personally. And they said, but it is personal. It hurts so much that you can't tell me don't take it personally. And I really understand that and agree with that. But it really has nothing to do with you. It is the perpetrator's own woundedness. Yes. A woundedness that is so, so deep that you can't reach that person. So therefore, if you could, you bring again the awareness that I just spoke of, the high, the low, the privileged, and you begin that discussion. If you can't do it, there are counselors, there are coaches, there are mentors, there are psychological programs that exist, and people, psychologists, etc. You can talk to them, family members, to get them to understand, hey, this is not right. Something is fundamentally wrong, and therefore to move into that direction. I want to also say, I hear you talk a lot about, and even the literature that you gave about domestic violence. I don't want to leave it in the home. There is bullying, there is there is damage being done in the school, in the playground, child on child.
Yes.
Children on children. In the classroom, teachers on children.
Yes.
Or even sometimes children and teachers, because some teachers are scared of, especially when they get to the higher forms of the big guys in the class. They're timid teachers at times. In the place of work. In doing this, I did some research and discovered in the American system that 70% of the workplace bullies are men. More than half of their targets are women. That 80% of the female bullies target women. And the victims must not take the blame for bullying because it reflects the perpetrator's behavior, not yours. In community groups, that happens. Correct. In churches, that everywhere. Yes. Everywhere. And because it happens everywhere, I think I keep saying, I just wish somebody can put Trinidad and Tobago on a couch and just mentor and just coach and just bring the awareness to them that something, we could be kind to each other. Yes, could be kind. What we talk about, fatigue and the things that we take for granted, do
damage. Yes, it does. It does. And it goes back yesterday when we were talking to Minister Webster Roy. She spoke about socialization, and it's self-awareness is also part of that socialization. You know, we take things for granted that we tell persons, oh, you are this and you are that, and we mean it as a joke, but it does damage, and that damage creates problems down the road. But interestingly, you would have spoken about the schools, and I know, having worked under you as when you were Minister of Education, the student support services came on board to treat with students who were not exactly meeting the mark. And one of the things we saw even then, their self-esteem were impacted. Do you think, Mrs. Manning, that there's a need for us to go back to introducing self-esteem on the curriculum of the schools? Also, I would think values education, because it speaks to how I treat with my colleagues, how I treat with someone. So do you think that's something that's really needed in our system?
Very much, very much. Remember, I started with the value of confidence. That's an important value. The value of if you get that value right, and the whole world changes for you. If you get that value. This student support, when we were doing it, I remember reading Abraham Maslow. Remember his self-actualization? It represents the pursuit of reaching one's full potential and making sure that everything is in place so that you can blossom and that you can grow. And that's what the Student Support Services unit was supposed to do. It was established in 2007, and it delivers an array of psychosocial, educational, behavioral services for students to provide an environment which supports healthy development. It therefore enables young ones to become responsible, and it produces really very good citizens. And I think it is still in operation. It is still there. I don't know how good it is, but I suspect that it must be doing well. And I want to agree with you that there was the values program that was also introduced. And I want to agree with you that we need to put that into the system. In my private life, we do round tables of values. And that I heard Wendy reading out my CV. I went to Costa Rica, and in Costa Rica, that's what they were doing. They used the values, and they were round tables. The Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health. They went through the country on round tables, talking to everyone about values and value education, and saying to them, if we get these values right, we would make a kinder, better person. I think that's something I would love to see happening here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, so would I. That sounds really something that we needed. It's needed. And so I just want to put you on the spot a little bit. 2 minutes or 3 minutes. How can you, at this time, boost the morale or empower some woman who's saying right now, I don't know if I can do what Mrs. Manning is asking. I am someone who my self-esteem is low, my daughter's self-esteem. How can you help boost and empower that woman in 2 minutes, 3 minutes time?
Can I just do a little 1 minute activity?
Sure.
And that is really to bring awareness to the perpetrator and the victim. To the perpetrator and the victim. I would like them to sit and write 10 things that you're insecure about in life. 10 things that you're insecure about in life. You tell me when my 1 minute is up. 10 things that you're insecure about in life.
Right, there we go.
Now I want you to divide them. On the left-hand side of the paper, I want you to write the things that I can change. Of those 10 things, I can change this, I can change that, I can change that. And on the right-hand side of the paper, I want you to write the things that I cannot change. I cannot change this, I cannot change that. Are you willing to be vulnerable? I just want to discuss one of your things that you cannot change.
Sure. What I cannot change, the future.
You know, it's more personal. You cannot change the future. And you're thinking that you're going to accept. Do you really feel you cannot change your future? You're going to just sit and accept what's going to be thrown at you? Do you really think so?
You know, and you know, we always say that change starts with you.
Yes, yes, yes. You see how easy that was?
Yes.
Yeah, you were thinking that, gosh, these are the things, I can't do this and I'm not going to do this. I can't change the future. So I'm going to sit here and just do this.
This is what our victims say. This is what they say to us all the time. I can't change the future. That this, you know, but if you think about it, it starts with you. That one thing.
In my situation with the future, my husband died, and oh my goodness, what do I do from here? This is the guy I lean on all the time. Who am I going to lean on? What am I going to do? And within that year, I grew so much. I had total respect for single mothers. Because I kept, whenever the sons came with an issue, I said, we'll talk to your father.
Father, right.
No father to go. And I just sat there and just had to do what I thought I could never do.
Wow.
So if your confidence is high, if your self-esteem is high, you can do anything. It's going to be difficult, but there are ways you could go about doing it. Find people who are like-minded. Talk, get a counselor, get a coach, get a mentor, talk it through, read, find literature that tells you what it is, do a personal development plan, and you see YouTube and the internet, they are full of ways to help you do self-assessments. Go on it and find it and know who I am, know who my strengths are, know what my weaknesses are, and then keep going. Using your strengths to keep going.
That is excellent advice. And so in the 2 minutes, any final words? I know I have gained a lot of information that I can pass on, even with my clients, and I'm sure those persons who are streaming live on Facebook, they have gained information. But what would be any final words, Mrs. Manning?
I want a quotation from Bruce Lee that I look at all the time, and I talk about all the time. Learn the art of fighting without fighting. I mean, that is so deep. You're going in a battle without being physical, without being cruel, without being, but you're fighting, eh?
Yes.
And you start your fight from your self-development. Oh gosh, these are my strengths. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to really work on this. I am steady. I am solid. I am whatever my strengths are. I am an influencer. I'm a natural leader. These are my strengths. Now, how do I use this to be able to achieve my goals? I have my own personal vision. I have my own personal mission.
Yes.
My personal goals, my values. I know my values, family life, fun. I know my values. And because of that, I know how I approach projects. I know how I approach people. I know. So I say, learn the art of fighting without
fighting. Thank you. And at this time, I think it would be a wonderful opportunity if we can take, I don't know if Wendy's hearing, if we can.
Of course I am.
Great. If we
taking
can take
copious notes.
Yes, if there are any questions for Mrs. Manning.
Yes. So firstly, I want to say thank you, Mrs. Manning. This was amazing. I wish we had like an entire hour. This was really amazing. One of the questions, and I think it's in alignment with what we're commemorating, what advice would you give to someone who has been abused physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, and spiritually? What would be their starting point to boost their morale and come out of that where they feel like they're worth nothing, they're suicidal? Where would you start with that person?
In a situation that's so deep, I would say get help. Yes. Find someone to talk to. If you could afford it, and I hear you talking financial and everything else, coach, a family friend, a mentor, someone who would just take the time to just listen and then to be able to guide you. Because the second step is to start going deep inside.
Yes.
What
Yes.
should I do? Why me? What could I do? How could I do it? I keep saying W to the fifth power and H. How to do it? What to do? Why
Yeah.
to do? Where? Know what your why is, and then be able to keep it. It's hard. It's really very hard work. And
Yes, it is.
surround yourself with people who you trust and people who trust you. And
But I just want to add to it as well. I heard you say surround yourself with people who you trust, and that is something we tell victims in inverted commas, because I don't really like to use the word victims, over and over again. But sometimes we make decisions to accept this form of abuse, and as a result of the decision we've made, we've indirectly separated ourselves from everyone. Families don't want to know. That's a choice you make. Friends were like, I warned you. So then you really in a place where you want to make the step forward to get this help, but you have nobody literally to lean on, literally nobody. So you have to now seek professional help.
but you know,
And then you get the support after.
God sends angels.
Oh, yes,
Of
he
course.
does.
And
Oh, yes.
in this COVID time, I have been talking to a number of people, friends and people who are not even friends, who would call and say, listen, so and so, so what do I do? And sometimes just talking to them, And then they would say, sometimes they really don't know. They don't know that they don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So true.
And sometimes in talking and guiding, there's a friend of mine right now, and I'm saying to her, how do you eat? Not eating well. How do you walk every day? She's isolated. She's locked down. She's depressed. She doesn't even know that.
Wow.
She doesn't even know that
She's depressed. Correct.
So it's like to walk her through. And then I have another friend who's a psychologist. I say, come, let's talk to her. And came home by me, we spent some time and we just shared. She left laughing and happy. She came
Excellent.
so sad. And sometimes just that conversation, and I didn't know, I don't take vitamins, I don't walk, I don't talk to anybody, I'm isolated, I'm locked away. Sometimes just talking with her.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have another question here from the Facebook Live. How can you motivate yourself to fight when you already think it's a losing battle, that you can't change anything, so it's best to accept it?
That's where we talk about self-esteem and confidence, the value of confidence. You don't have it, get it. Get it. Deliberately, as I said to me, I am here with these two sons. I can't cope. I don't know what to do. Man, I got it. Because the alternative was dying. When I say dying, depression, you lose yourself. And I said, no way am I going to do that. So then you get up and you say, something, step by step.
One day at a time.
Yeah, I talk to my sisters. I talk to people who you can talk to and tell them your personal things. You don't tell everybody. But there's somebody you can say, and they would say, even sometimes just to listen. Because a lot of the answers are deep within you.
Correct.
Yes.
You already need the answers, some others, and sometimes in talking, the answers come out.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Wow. Mrs. Bailey Owen, over to you.
Oh, well, Mrs. Manning, I really have to say thank you.
Yes.
I know I'm actually visualizing that values roundtable. It definitely need. One of the things is that we don't talk. We don't talk and we don't listen. So I think that you have given us an earful. Again, it was an awesome. I go back to when we had our honoraries program, Wendy and Mrs. Manning spoke, and everyone was in awe. And I'm just as in awe tonight. So thank you on behalf of all the wonderful women who have been listening and who are going to listen even after to helping us build our self-esteem.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I want to say it was my pleasure, and maybe I can offer the organization a Values Roundtable project. Maybe we can come with your organization.
Listen, as the chair of the board, yes. We don't even need a board meeting, yes.
Definitely.
Really is worthwhile.
And can I just, I would like to acknowledge the Honorable Ayanna Webster-Roy, who is on the live. So I would like to acknowledge the Honorable Minister who is taking in the moment.
And I'm sure she's also saying, yes, that values roundtable. We can do it.
Yes.
We can do it.
Yes, definitely. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So have a wonderful evening, everyone, on Facebook, and continue. We are looking forward to day 3 of 15 days of activism.
Awesome. Thank you again, Marsha. Thank you, Mrs. Manning. Have an amazing evening, everyone.